Hi guys, in this video I'm going to go through some common matching errors in QuickBooks Online and show you how to resolve some. So in these bank feeds, we're looking at QuickBooks suggested match on a banking transaction, and I happen to know that the bank account is reconciled for March. So when you look at these bank feeds, you have to pay really close detail to this EDI, the bank detail, which unfortunately you can't see unless you actually open the transaction. So if you look at this, it says, oh, okay, I found a match. It matches the amount, blah, blah, blah. But you have to look at two things, actually multiple things. One is the date. So 3/29/2024 is the date. And the check that's in QuickBooks is posted 4/12. That's not a match because that is for two different dates. It's actually in this case for two different payrolls. So one might ask, well, why isn't it coming up and trying to match this 3/29 check? And the answer is because that period is already reconciled. Matching will not work on finding transactions that are already closed. So what do we do with this transaction? At this point, because it's reconciled already, what you need to do is take that and exclude it from the bank feeds. Okay, so the second error that I see is, for some reason, at some point in the past, somebody had posted this transaction 1270.32 against a different vendor for a different amount. It could be at one point that there was an amount for that vendor, and so now it's coming up thinking that it should be already that amount. So here's another very common and very dangerous error, because this will lead to completely misposted transactions in the ledger. So again, you can't see this information until you actually open it. When you open the transaction, it says, you read the bank detail, it says EDI payments. It's further, we know that this is a payroll related transaction. It is not bank service charges that go to bank card customer. This has nothing to do with the actual bank text detail. So one of the things that you can do is create a rule, and I'll show you about rules here real quick. You see where it comes up and uses the description as a default? Don't use that, because it's almost always wrong. Like, for example, contains Baltimore, Washington, whatever. That 99% of the time, that's either wrong or it's way too generic. So you need to use bank text. Okay, and we'll call this one EDI payments. When money comes out of BB&T and includes this rule. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to look at this bank text rule, and we're going to copy it. EDI payments further. Okay, see, this is where it's picking up Baltimore, Washington, but that's just the customer name. That really is not something that should be used because in a lot of cases it's going to be too generic. It's going to apply to too many transactions. So let's call this EDI, money out, bank text contains, and then you paste your information here. Then we're going to call this an expense. It's not financing bank service charges. It's going to be HSA payable. Payroll liabilities, HSA payables. The payee is not bank card, it's EDI. Actually, I think in the past, because the vendor changed, we used to call this Care First, Blue Choice. Okay, EDI payments, and then we can leave this to auto add, but before you hit save, I highly recommend coming back and hitting test rule, because this will let you know if it actually is going to pick up the transaction that you're looking for or if it's going to not catch the transaction if you need to maybe go back and do your transactions. Okay, so now you can hit save, and then boom. So those are should be posted now to the ledger, and now you can match these. So 415, 415, match, rule applied HSA. This one wants to add. Now here's another thing to take a look at. Okay, rather than add a transaction, you have to see if there's a match. And because I know that this April period is reconciled, I am not going to add this, because again, it won't find a match on a closed transaction. So again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and I have to exclude this transaction. Ideally, you want to do this, all of this matching, you should have all of these things for review posted to the ledger or matched before you do your bank reconciliation. If you do the bank reconciliation first and then come back in, update the bank feeds, and then try to match, you're going to have duplicates in the ledger, or you're going to be matching things in the current period and not in the prior period. I hope that helps. There's a lot of issues with this bank feeds, and it's way more dangerous than I believe the QuickBooks desktop. So you have to take a lot of extra care to make sure that you read the bank text before you do the matching. Thank you.